David Fincher hid urine jars on set, helicoptered trees into crime scenes, and made actors speak faster to fit a 200-page script. The Zodiac killer terrorized California, but making this movie became its own obsession. These 25 facts prove that sometimes the production is just as twisted as the story. Fincher's childhood was haunted by the Zodiac. He came home from school one day after noticing a police car following his bus. His father casually told him there's a serial killer who's threatened to shoot out school bus tires and kill the children as they come off. That terror stayed with him for decades. The research was insane. Fincher, his screenwriter and producer, spent 18 months interviewing witnesses, family members, suspects, 2 surviving victims, and even the mayors of San Francisco and Vallejo. This wasn't just a movie. This was an investigation. The shooting script was 200 pages long. Most scripts are around 120. Fincher's solution? He told his actors to speak faster. Problem solved. Trees were literally helicoptered into Lake Berryessa because the area had changed too much since 1969. Fincher wanted the murder site to look exactly as it did that day.
Saturday evening, Celia Shepard and Bryan Hartnell, both in their early 20s, were sitting on this knoll of land overlooking part of Lake Berryessa. They thought they were alone, but there was a third man on this knoll, a man who wore a medieval-style executioner's hood, carried a knife and gun, and intended to use them.
Here's something chilling. Nancy Slover, the operator who took the first Zodiac call, was asked to identify which actor's voice sounded most like the killer. She picked John Carroll Lynch, who plays the prime suspect, Arthur Lee Allen.
Zodiac, a symbol that now stands for terror in San Francisco. Today there was a possibly significant development in the terrifying case of the man who calls himself Zodiac and has boasted that he is responsible for 5 murders in the last 9 months. In Zodiac's latest letter last week, he threatened to make a busload of school children his next victims. Since then, school buses have been discreetly guarded, and parents' fears have openly risen. This morning, the people of San Francisco heard a man who claimed to be Zodiac talking on the air.
Mark Ruffalo met the real David Toschi and was blown away. The inspector had perfect recall of every detail of every case, decades later. That obsession never left him.
Since the release of the latest letter yesterday, our office has received additional phone calls from persons in the Bay Area who feel that
the producers hired a private investigator to track down Michael Mageau, one of the real survivors. The film literally starts and ends with this character.
At least an 8. Last time I saw this face was July 4th, 1969. I am very sure that's the man who shot me.
Fincher refused to show any Zodiac murders without surviving witnesses. That's why the Lake Herman Road murders, the Zodiac's first confirmed attacks, aren't in the film. Digital magic was everywhere. Hair was added to Jake Gyllenhaal's knuckles because Fincher thought his hands were too hairless and pretty. Blood in murder scenes? All digital to save time. Dermot Mulroney wore a fat suit for his brief scenes because Fincher thought he was in too good of shape for his character. Nothing escaped Fincher's eye.
The criminologist was sent over to the newspaper, as were inspectors, and the 2 letters were examined and opened.
The cab murder scene on Washington and Cherry couldn't be shot in San Francisco due to neighborhood opposition, so they built an entire replica street set outside LA and digitally inserted San Francisco backdrops. In the Zodiac's letters, he wondered who would play him in a movie. Fincher's response? 3 different actors portray him, and in every shot their faces are obscured or out of focus. The killer never gets his star moment. Robert Downey Jr. rebelled against Fincher's endless takes by hiding mason jars of his urine on set. He eventually admitted, "I just decided, aside from several times I wanted to garrote him, that I was going to give him what he wanted."
I remember talking to him, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's just making this Benjamin Button movie. I go, "And how's it going?" He goes, "We're just waiting for a period car to start that's keeping 300 other cars from moving and doing the scene." And he has this thing where no matter how difficult something is, he's just patiently waiting, because ultimately he's a very exacting director, and he makes great film.
The infamous Code 340 went unsolved for 51 years. It finally cracked in December 2020. The message included the misspelled words "paradise" and revealed the Zodiac's twisted philosophy about death and slavery in the afterlife. George Lucas revealed that the Zodiac case captured his imagination as a student, and he named Tosche Station on Tatooine after Inspector Toschi, who he felt was unfairly judged.
Take these 2 over to the garage, will you? I want them cleaned up for dinner.
But I was going into Tosche Station to pick up some power converters.
You can waste time with your friends when your chores are done. Now, come on, get to it.
The murder victims' costumes were meticulously created from actual forensic evidence lent to the production. Every button, every fabric, exact. Jake Gyllenhaal was mystified when Fincher gave him a doll and an old-fashioned diaper as preparation for playing a young father. Method directing at its finest. Graysmith and Avery weren't actually friends in real life. Their relationship was fictionalized to serve the story's emotional arc.
I really don't feel I am. I think that the Zodiac is just making an idle threat, frankly. He has bragged of killing up to possibly 14 people, but there's absolutely no evidence that he's killed more than 5. I put no credence in this. I think he just wanted to get himself a little publicity.
During negotiations, a studio executive literally told Mark Ruffalo's manager, "We don't give a shit about Mark Ruffalo. We don't even want him in this movie." Today, he's the Hulk. Ha, who's laughing now?
Well, there was a weird moment where all these romantic comedies all came out, at the same time or really close, and I was a little afraid that I've always been trying to duck and jive and keep people from getting their hands on me as far as what they think that I should be, and so there was that moment. I was like, I gotta get back into drama. I wanted to get back into drama anyway, but there was that moment where the billboards are like.
The scene where Gyllenhaal shows up with his baby in a stroller to question Ruffalo? Jake had the flu and didn't want to shoot it. Fincher insisted they only had the location for one night. The show must go on.
He's obviously, the kid who has no business being there. So whenever he pipes up, it's like, don't you have something to do? You come in under the excuse.
Throughout the film, Toschi constantly mooches food, animal crackers, sandwiches. But in the cinematic diner scene when Graysmith presents a solution, Toschi pays for both meals. A small detail showing his gratitude and closure.
So you're a friend of Paul Avery's?
He's actually the reason I'm here. I wanted to ask you about Zodiac.
Well, I appreciate the interest, but we don't discuss open cases.
Well, what's going on with it day to day?
We're actively pursuing all leads.
And you're the only one on it, right?
The real Bryan Hartnell, who survived the Lake Berryessa attack, appears as an extra in the background with his wife. He literally witnessed his own dramatized tragedy.
Well, the pictures are in the paper. This last one that they put out, I think, is probably as accurate as any that they have put up. Since this last threat about the school bus, we don't know what's going to happen, what his mode of operation is or anything. I have no malice in my heart against him. I just don't want this to happen again to anyone else.
Jake Gyllenhaal's birthday is December 19. Arthur Lee Allen's birthday is December 18th, the same day Brad Pitt, Steven Spielberg, and Fincher's close friends were born. The Zodiac claimed he killed on his birthday. The Zodiac case was officially reopened after the film's release. Art literally influenced reality.
A new theory is again bringing attention to the decades-old cold case of the Zodiac killer. An independent cold case group claims to have uncovered the name of the man linked to at least 5 murders in California during the late 1960s. A group of retired law enforcement and military members claim to have cracked the code in letters the Zodiac killer wrote, identifying the killer as a painter who lived and worked in Groveland but died in 2018. Despite these claims, the FBI says the case is still open.
When Robert Graysmith saw the finished film, his only comment was, "God, now I see why my wife divorced me." The obsession that consumed him to solve the case is exactly what Fincher captured, and it cost Graysmith everything.
But in 1978, April 25th, I believe, we got a letter that says, "I am back with you. I've never been anywhere else. I've been with you all this time."
Wait, there's more. In real life, when survival Michael Mageau was shown a photo lineup and picked out Arthur Lee Allen, he exclaimed, "That's him! He's the man who shot me!" But one of the photos in that lineup, it was Bob Stevenson, one of the 3 actors who actually portrayed the Zodiac in the film. Reality and fiction became impossibly tangled. And here's the ultimate twist. Jake Gyllenhaal shares the film's creepiest scenes, that terrifying basement moment with Charles Fleischer. In real life, the two have known each other since Gyllenhaal was 3 years old. Imagine being genuinely afraid of someone you've known your entire life. That's the power of Fincher's direction. And that's the terrifying genius of Zodiac, a film about obsession made by people who became obsessed themselves. If you haven't watched it, what are you waiting for? If you enjoyed these behind-the-scene facts, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment for letting me know which fact blew your mind the most. Keep watching, keep feeling, and never stop chasing the magic of cinema. I'll catch you in the next one.